fascist.
Yeah,
Sister to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Blunt Kelly get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. You propose the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steve Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow. Step into the
And welcome to the Pun Show. And today we are joined by JoJo from Jerz. Also, Joe Carducci, is that how you say it?
that's right. Yep, you got it. Yep. Hi.
Italian husband or Italian dad?
Italian ex-husband. Yeah.
Ah.
I had my maiden name is a Lebanese name that everyone thought was Irish, which is ironic because I'm half Irish, but my last name was Lebanese, but it sounded Irish. So, yeah. Yeah.
When I was in college, there was this little Lebanese corner store where I worked at, and I would like stock groceries and stuff like that. And they had this really they had like a lunch counter or like a deli there, and just like the best Lebanese food that you could have. And they
Where
were
was that?
filming. Huh?
Where was that?
Well, that was in Minnesota, over in Dinkytown.
Oh. Oh, okay. I didn't know there were any Lebanese people in Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's actually a huge population in Detroit, which is a different M state, but in the same relative neck of the woods. But yeah. But what kind of Lebanese food did you eat there? Do you remember?
Oh, they, like the grape leaves and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So what happened is the movie Beautiful Women, I don't know if you remember that, was
Yes, it was a great movie.
So that was filming like my apartment complex. I walked to the corner and I turned right and I went down another block and there was the store. So it's like 2 blocks away. But halfway in between was the house where the girl lived.
Oh.
And so one day I'm sitting there and I'm stocking up the shelves and stuff, and I look to my right, and who's standing there but Matt Dillon.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, "Hey, you're Matt Dillon." And he says, "Yes, I am." And I said, "You're shorter than I thought you would be." And he said, "I get that a lot." And so,
Really?
So he got some of that, but he was like a nice guy. And so then he went and he got his food. And so then it caught on, like everybody on the set. So then one day Uma Thurman came in and I said, like I lost all use of my tongue.
Yeah.
She's
gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. How short is Matt Dillon? Like, how short?
I thought he was like 6'1". He's maybe 5'9", 5'10".
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
Like, I mean, he's not short, but he's shorter.
Yeah. You know who's short? Like, actually short? And I didn't think he was going to be like 6'4", but is Bono. I was behind Bono at Dublin Airport. Like, I yelled at it by accident, which is a whole nother story. But I was behind him and I could see the top of his head.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm only 5'4" and a half. Oh, wow. I mean, we were going down the little thing to get into the plane, so there's a little bit of a ramp, but not that much of a ramp. You know what I mean? Lovely fellow. I mean, given that I yelled at him and he is Bono. But I expected him to be slightly taller than he was,
He didn't turn around and say, "You too."
No.
Sorry. It is the Pun Show. They got to drop a pun in there.
He did not. He did not tell me to kiss his Blarney Stone either. No,
so
he just
anyway, thanks for coming on the show. I'm
Thanks
like super excited to have you here. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is like you've got like 1 million followers on Twitter. And like, go back to your origin story and like, did you ever think you would get to where you had $1 million on followers on Twitter, and like be somebody people would know who you are?
No, no, not at all. And by the way, I wish it was $1 million on Twitter. No, funny story. I didn't know what Twitter was at all until when Twitter came out or whatever. I was like, oh God, who needs to know when Kim Kardashian like went to the bathroom? I thought that Twitter was just celebrities updating people on their every minute of their every mundane moment of their day. And I didn't know. I didn't speak Twitter. I was on Facebook. That's what people who are Gen X do. They go on Facebook. And then Trump happened, and then the election happened, and then my Facebook was like a hellscape of people who love Trump. And I was like, well, I can't be on here anymore. This is bad. And then I thought, well, there have to be people like me somewhere on some social media platform. It's not Facebook. So I went to this Twitter thing, and I was like, okay, I don't know anything about this, but let's just see. And then I saw a few accounts, Molly Jong Fast, among others, that were saying things that made sense. And I was like, oh my gosh, there are people. I really went there to tell Trump like that he was old and stuff. I can't exactly what I said because there's swearing, but it was lots of profanity. That was the catharsis of it, that I thought it would make me feel better, and honestly it did. To say things like, I'm sorry you have to see yourself naked, like that made me feel better for a second. But I was just in the replies, and then I remember having fun with that. And then I remember within a year, I was a paraprofessional and I was riding a bus, and the kids were all off the bus. I was on a special ed bus. And so I was just sitting there looking at Twitter, and I hit 1,000 followers. It took me a year. And I was like, oh my God, that's huge. Like 1,000. I came home and told the kids. I was so excited. And then another year, it was 10,000. And then by the end of COVID, because I was working as an educator during COVID. And I remember in the middle of it, somebody said, how many followers do you have? And I said, 25,000. By the end of 2021, that was well over 150. And then it just kept going. But honestly, I not only did I ever expect it, I wasn't working toward it. I just have stuff to say. I've always had something to say. I went through a divorce in the midst of all of this. I refound my own voice, and Twitter actually, believe it or not, and in his own messed up way, Donald Trump helped me reclaim my sense of who I was. And that's really it's about saying things that I feel, I think, but also trying to make people feel seen and not crazy, and also actually working towards, in any way that I can, leaving a better world for my kids than the one that I found. And right now that's moving in the opposite direction.
I find that reading is the best way to find empathy and to understand other people, and that writing is the best way to find empathy and understand yourself.
Oh God,
Like
that's so true.
like I feel like I learn what I think when I write, like the slow down my brain and articulate it on paper, even more than when you're speaking, because you try to frame thing, and then as you do, you're like, oh, okay, you crystallize what's in your own head as much as what's on the paper.
Yeah.
And
I can't hide from my writing. I can't hide myself from my writing. I can hide myself in my tweets and my speech and the things I say to people. I can't hide. My writing finds me.
And I think you're a magnificent writer. My mom won a Pulitzer when she was for the Grand Forks Herald. There was they got a Human Services Award. There was a big flood that was going on. They had to move the whole paper out like 70 miles, and the whole town got flooded out. It was like big thing. Anyway, they ended up getting like a team award, Pulitzer Prize.
That's cool.
And so but anyway, like I admire people who write, and particularly women who write, because just having been around that environment, I realized that there's like an extra hurdle. And for like the 10 years that I was writing NBA, before I got verified on Twitter and had to put in my own likeness, I had a little dog loaf, like this dog that looks like a loaf of bread as my avatar. And I deliberately left it gender neutral because Kelly is a gender neutral name, and I was writing about sports, and I'd always have people respond to me, "What do you know about sports? You're a girl." And it just reminded I left it gender neutral specifically just to remind me that women have a challenge men don't.
Mm.
I don't, like men, people assume competence. And with women, people assume incompetence. And so I feel like, women have an extra challenge when it comes to these things. So first of all, I love your writing. Your RFK Jr. article was hilarious, and your
Oh,
Joe Biden article was touching. So like you've got an array of voices that I think show you're a more complicated person than just right or left or whatever. And so do you have any training in writing, or is that just something that you've learned by doing, or like
Oh, well, thank you for your compliments, first of all. I had so much fun writing the RFK one. Like, sometimes I think I don't know if my audience if they're ready for me to do something like this, or not. So I just try and see. And that one they responded to really well. I wrote one a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, about the escalator, from the position of the escalator at the UN. And I was
Mhm.
playing with some new styles for myself, for my audience, styles that I like and I respond to, but that they weren't that accustomed to coming from me. But I appreciate your compliments, because I like when I challenge myself and people respond to it. That makes me feel like, well, you're over the target. You're moving in the right direction. And I'm a deeply insecure person, so whenever I get any kind of
Hey,
validation from other
that's
people,
right.
it's great,
Yeah,
right?
not all of us are Trump. They always talk about the Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's actually two sides to that.
Mm,
And like one of this, I love to tell this story. There was like a paper, or they did a study where they had A students sitting next to C students,
mm-hmm,
and then they would swap. The A student everybody would grade their own paper,
mm-hmm.
and what they found is that the A students were more likely to give themselves C's, and the C students were more likely to give themselves A's.
Yeah.
And so then they would grade their own paper, and then they would swap and grade the other person's paper. And then the A person would be like, my paper was a lot better than I thought it was. And the C paper person would be, my paper was not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
So like, and I, there's different ideas about why that is. And it could be that because some people are more self-critical, they thrive harder to do better. And that's why they excel.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, and I would actually suggest that it is 100% accurate. I mean, that is to the point of sometimes, overcompensating to the point of shooting yourself in the foot, because you do well. I'm not a perfectionist, but I very much want to put my best foot forward whenever possible, and I want people to like what I do, right? Like, I want to like it, but I want to also for people to like what I do. So yeah, I try really hard to make sure that they do, and that's interesting, because I could totally see myself giving myself a C on something instead of an A. Yeah, but if it was math, I would give myself an A, because I suck at math. But yeah, no, so I'm so bad at math, so bad. I couldn't even read a clock, like an analog clock, like I have one in my office. I couldn't read that clock until I was in almost 5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was writing short stories in 2nd grade, so I always wanted to be a writer. I remember my first story was about Blackie the dog, and there was this kid named Glenn. Glenn, if you're out there, Glenn wanted to be my assistant writer, and what all that meant was that Glenn had to sit next to me in the little library nook and just sit there and go, what are you writing? What are you writing? And I would say, not now, Glenn. But I felt very important, and I would write this short story and about this dog.
I think
And
Glenn might have had a crush on you.
maybe I was not cute. I mean, I was cute when I was little, but then not at all cute when I hit 4th and 5th grade. Like, when I had 5th grade, I was so not cute that nobody wanted me to be their square dance partner, and I was never even picked. It would always be me and Jason, and poor Jason was always stuck with me, and I felt so bad for him, but he was also, not that desirable. But I was okay when I was little. But I don't know if Glenn had a crush on me or not.
I peaked at 5. I was super cute when I was 5.
Oh, really? I peaked at 5, an autobiography. Yeah. I was yeah, I guess we're all cute when we're little, right? But yeah, I was awkward, but yeah. But I look like a boy, because my mom left when I was 4. So my dad had 4 girls and a boy, and he couldn't keep up with our hair. So they cut all our hair. My dad was a wonderful person, but he could not keep up with our hair. So we got the haircuts that made us look like boys. So I had to tell my kindergarten teacher that I was a girl. So I was cute, but like I look like a boy, you know. But anyway, I've been writing since I was little.
So, okay, related to that,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about this. I've noticed that I had Rebecca Jones on here, and then I just got inundated with just all these people that just hated her for some reason.
Yeah.
And I look at your comments, and it's like people like Mike Nellis, they get hate too, but like it's like there's a whole other level of hate for smart women.
Oh God, yeah.
How do you deal with all of that? Like, do you just ignore it? Do you just mute the comments on your post at a certain point? Like, it's just the first 50 comments sometimes I look at are just not just nasty, they're like sexist nasty.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've created entire fictions about my life. They've created a fiction that I'm addicted to drugs and that I lost my children. I have no custody. I'm not even legally allowed to see them. I mean, not even not even talking about the physical attacks, right? Like, but the thing is, I dish it out, right? I'm a troll for people like Donald Trump, Matt Gaetz, and Stephen Miller, and Steve Bannon, and Brian Kilmeade, and all, going down the list. So I dish it out, and I can take it, and I don't care. They don't bother me. They used to bother me because I was like, oh my God, I'm fat, or they noticed something about my face, or they saw my scar, or I don't care anymore. I can't, first of all, care, but also, if I'm going to dish it out, I'm going to have to take some of it. And every now and then I'll punch back because it's fun for me, especially when they spell something wrong while they're trying to troll me.
I love it when they say,
my favorite.
You're an idiot, with the YOUR. Like,
it's
that one
my
is
favorite. Just hand me a gift on a silver platter, please. And if I catch one of those, I'm going to go back and engage once. I'll just pop it on the nose and then walk on. But I will say that it's an automatic block for me, and this happens a lot. And if I see them, anytime they use the R word slur, they're gone. As much as possible, they're gone because, like I said, first of all, that is a red line. But also, I worked with autistic children for 7 years almost, and that is a word that you don't say. And so that's an instant block if I see it, and I don't catch them all because I get a lot of comments. But yeah, it doesn't bother me. Then they can't bother me.
My older brother worked with autistic adults.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's hard work.
He'd live in a home with them, and, like, they were kind of like they were able to hold jobs, but like not, like janitors or whatever. And he would help them just kind of make sure they didn't burn down the house while they were cooking food. And
that's awesome.
And stuff like that. So
it's incredibly important work, and it's incredibly difficult work, and it's taxing emotionally and physically and all the things. It just, for me, it was not a sustainable pay. Like, I couldn't live as a single mom on the pay, and that's what's criminal about so much of this, is that we reward the wrong things economically. But yeah, I mean, as far as the trolling and the hate, it's definitely, for women, I would say that it's worse than it is for men a lot of the time, because they have so many different prongs of attack. They can go for your looks, they can go after your intellect, they can go after your family. I just feel like it's not ideological at all. It's very personal. And in many cases, to be quite honest, and in the case of Rebecca Jones, who's a beautiful woman, it's like some weird latent sort of like incel rejection thing where they're like, I couldn't get a chick like you. So because I can sit here on my keyboard in my mommy's basement with my, bottle of Lubriderm, I can tell you all the things that I would not have the nerve to say to you to your face when you looked past me every single day. That's like part of it too.
I love it when people with like Frog, what's his name? The Pierre or whatever.
Pepe.
Yeah. And they like insult your looks. It's like, you don't even have the courage to put your appearance on your profile, and you're going to accuse me of being ugly. You must be really ugly that even you're ugly. Yeah. And I've never been under the impression that I'm Brad Pitt or anything. I always say I've got a face for radio and a voice for print. Like, not, not exactly the most charismatic person in the world.
No. My favorite are the ones that do post pictures of themselves, and you're like, really, like really, Bob, like really, or the women who do.
Without even knowing who Bob is, I know that his picture is he's got a seatbelt on.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And he doesn't know how to hold a camera to get a good angle of his face, and he's like kind of got a goofy smile, and he's probably got sunglasses on backwards, or right, like, and he definitely has an American flag and an eagle and probably a cross and the word dad, or girl dad. Like, that's my favorite too. There's so many girl dads who are like, you're a whore.
Yes. Like, I can procreate, and it's like, what? Okay, good for you. Like, you're just like billions of other people.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. They're like, they might as well just have like shitty dad in their comments, instead of
right.
like
Like, girl dad next to a purple cross. I'm like, first of all, what? Like, secondly, nothing about you is giving girl dad and or Christianity. So, like, you telling yourself so that you can remind yourself that you're not those things? Because I mean, it's literally hysterical. I just find that.
Speaking of crosses, I think I cracked something the other day. I need to do a little more research on it, but I think I understand why Caroline Levitt, like how some days she doesn't wear the cross, most of the time she wears it, but every once in a while. I think what it is the day she's not wearing it, she has an in-person meeting with Stephen Miller.
Maybe. I mean, and so let me walk me through this. So, do you think he's the devil?
No, I think he's a vampire. I think he's
okay. See, now my brain was not making that connection, but I think you're being unfair to vampires. To be honest, I think I call him Nosferatu. Like, it's obviously a play on Nazi and Nosferatu. But that makes a lot of sense.
What's the first thing Stephen Miller does when he wakes up?
What?
Opens the lid.
Well, my joke about him, and by the way, I have a Substack about him that I try and channel a lot when I'm thinking about writing about him. I say that Stephen Miller sleeps in a coffin lined with ICE detention center blankets.
And then they hand those out afterwards to spread the disease.
Yeah, exactly. Like the blankets for the natives. Yeah. And then, of course, it's so they just hand us the jokes, right? When that story broke about Elon and Katie Miller and the whole cuck chair thing, like, it's like fishing with dynamite. They're just handing us the jokes. And Caroline Levitt, by the way, oh my God. She's like, every iteration of Trump's press secretary has become increasingly shameless and like just untethered from the truth. And she, oh Lord, she's the angriest of all of them. And then Sarah Huckabee Sanders exists, but Carolyn is still the angriest and the meanest of all of them. And Stephanie Grisham, resting like scotch and soda face, she exists, and Carolyn Levitt's still meaner and nastier.
Do you think that any of the couches JD Vance has had sex with were skinned to make a dress for Sarah Huckabee Sanders?
Yes, I do. I also think that the pieces that did not fit her muumuu du jour were given to Scott Bessent so he could wear them as a face. Because I am convinced that Scott Bessent is not wearing Scott Bessent's face. I am convinced that Russell Vogt puts the lotion in the basket or it gets the hose again. I'm convinced that there's a hole in Russell Vogt's house where there's a girl and a dog and a basket. And I'm convinced that Bessent is wearing someone else's face. Look at him.
Russell Vogt is only 49. Did you know that?
This is the thing, right? Like, they're age, and I mean, is one thing, but hate will age you faster than anything. Carolyn Levitt, I think she's only like 23. I don't know. I don't think that we look like we're that far apart, and I'm 51. But yeah, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I mean, Lord. Hate ages like nothing other, really. But that doesn't surprise me at all. Although, Can we talk about Donald Trump's appearance lately? Like, he's upset about that Time cover because it shows off his neck fupa, and it's like, bro, you don't take a good picture. You never have. But
I've
you're
never seen, and
foreign.
this is, I call this what was the word? I wrote a Substack on it. I can't think of the word I came up with. But anyway, yeah, the way they always take and they have to recreate what Donald Trump looks like in all these images. Not just like putting him in a military uniform, muscular Donald Trump in it. And it's like that's the way their brain works with everything Trump. They know that if they look at him for what he really is, then he will be ugly. So they have to, like not just physically, but politically, everything he says, everything he does, they have to lie about it, because if they're honest about it, they have to be honest with themselves about it.
Well, yeah, and that's it. That's everything about their support for him. It's I call it fictional Trump. It's all predicated on lies. And if they start to dissect one and pull it apart, then everything, the whole house of cards falls down, right? Like it's all built on this fiction. So that they like my whole Substack today that I'm writing as we before we were recording, and that I'm going to be making a video about. It's his America First lie. They're literally telling themselves still, like, cry harder because steak is $12 a pound. America First. Like, we're in a shutdown. He's still building a ballroom. He's bailing out Argentina. Our farmers are like dying. Small businesses are shutting down. Manufacturing is falling off the freaking side of a cliff. And they're like, America First, cry harder. Like, we've got measles raging all over this country. And they're like, America First. He doesn't care about America. He never has cared about America. He doesn't care about them. Their healthcare premiums are about to cost, a couple mortgage payments combined. But they'll tell you, he loves them. They love what he is doing. I have a friend who's at the local Quick Check here, where all these guys assemble every Friday morning to talk about whatever, God knows. And they talk about what Donald Trump is doing for them and how great he is. And I'm like, I would love to just tap one on the shoulder and be like, okay, why don't you tell me, please? What is it? I want to know.
That's what I always come back to. Like, I really want them to tell me what has he done for you? And they'll be, oh, he closed the border. And it's like, no, what has he done for you? Like, you can talk about he's, closed the border. How does closing the border help you? Do you have a better job?
Nope.
Are you paying less for food? Like,
nope.
What has he done to help you? One thing he has actually done that actually helps you, that you can draw a line through.
They don't know. They'll say Roe versus Wade. They'll say abortion, right? That's one they'll say. They'll say, oh, well, he made abortion illegal. And it's like, well, actually, first of all, at different points in his life and his political career, he has been pro-choice. But secondly, that is also not the law of the land in the entire country just yet. But also, that's not Donald Trump's accomplishment. That's the Federalist Society giving him the people to put on the Supreme Court. And it's also Mitch McConnell, who was able to cheat to get him those 3 picks, lying and cheating to not confirm Merrick Garland, and then doing the same thing and contradicting himself completely with Amy Coney Barrett. So, like, he hasn't done anything for them. The roads weren't paved. Their prices aren't lower. The jobs didn't come back. It's not helping the environment. He's not helping the economy. Everything is more expensive for them. But it doesn't matter, because he hates who they hate, and that's all they think they need.
Do you think that Epstein, like, every time I've had a few discussions where I found a MAGA that has a crack, the famous, the Dutch boy stuck his finger in the crack.
Yeah.
And, I figure if you can pull the finger out, you get a little water. It's only a matter before the dam starts to break. And, and so every once in a while you can find a MAGA that you can see they're desperately trying to keep that hole plugged.
Yeah.
And I think that with a lot of them, maybe even to a certain degree, Marjorie Taylor Greene of all people, the Epstein thing could be like, it's not just about the Epstein files. Is it Epstein or Epstein? I keep hearing Epstein.
Yeah, it's like a stein. I think it's a beer glass. Right, and it's Epstein. Yeah.
Epstein. There's okay.
There you go. That's a good association. Yeah.
So anyway, do you think that this could potentially be one of those things? Not like all MAGAs, but you don't need all MAGAs. If 1 or 2% of MAGAs break, the dynasty is over. Do you think that the Epstein files could not just be something that breaks them, but starts to make them think, gee, I'm I might be wrong about other things too.
Yeah, I think a certain percentage. I mean, there's a certain percent you're never going to get, right? They're too far gone. It's a cult. And they're never coming back, no matter what. He could shoot a bald eagle in the middle of Fifth Avenue while filleting Vladimir Putin and like singing "Death to America" and clubbing a baby seal with, let's just say, he's an octopus. He could do all of those things and live stream it on, Truth Social, and a certain percentage of his base is never going to, they'll say, oh my gosh, no one has ever filleted Putin as well as you. Thank you for shooting that bald eagle. We have too many of them. Like the certain percentage of his base is going to say like he's the greatest traitor in the history of time. But I will say that there are cracks. And we've seen quite a few of them. First of all, they fight with each other all the time. But look at Laura Loomer, for instance. Look at her on Epstein, but look at her on this Qatari base, not base situation in Idaho, where she has said, I will not vote in 2026. Granted, Pete Hegseth, day drunk, weekend TV pundit, got a little bit ahead of himself and mislabeled and caused a big stir up about what that actually was. A little investigating. It's not a Qatari airbase, whatever. There's plenty of conversation to have about that. But there are.
You can't play a poker game with 4 Pete Hegseths.
Why?
You need a 5th.
Very funny. I often just respond to his post with like, on a scale of 1 to second bottle of bourbon breakfast, like where is Pete Hegseth right now? Because it's I mean, look, I've been around drunks in my life. I've known a few, and the cottonmouth thing is a huge tell. He's always cottonmouth, but his whole persona, his anger, his posture, his face, like his jowls are chunky for a thin man. That dude likes to put him back. And I also know people who know him, and so I'll just say that. But no, I think there are cracks. I think there's huge chasms. There should be. And I think Epstein is one of them. And if your presidency could be destroyed by releasing the Epstein files, it deserves to be destroyed by releasing the Epstein files, first of all. This is why Mike Johnson, evangelical, Mike Johnson, son, monitor my porn, please. Mike Johnson is not reconvening the House of Representatives. It's in part to give them room to enact a lot of the Project 2025 cuts to, the federal workforce that they've wanted and to federal programs and socialism like they've wanted. But it is also so they do not seat that 218th vote, because some people know some things, and there's got to be something in there that Donald Trump does not think he will survive politically. I mean,
it seems like when they actually looked at the files, they doubled down on not releasing them.
You're right. You're right.
Which tells me a lot.
Yeah. Which also.
So when they say, "What about Bill Clinton?" I'm just like, well, okay, why don't the Republicans? Well, I'll say, why are the Republicans covering for Donald Trump? And they'll say, what about Bill Clinton? I'll say, okay, why are the Republicans covering for Bill Clinton? Like,
yeah.
I don't care who it is.
Are like, oh, if Bill Clinton did it, if he did those things, then I'd be the first person saying I would like accountability for Bill Clinton. Like, first of all, he's not a god. I don't worship him. I don't wear his face on my chest. Like, I don't have his name on my license plate. I've never tattooed him on my body. Like, he's a person. He was a president. He's a lawmaker, whatever. Like, he's not a deity. They do this thing where they sanctify their lawmakers, their leaders, whatever, and they turn them into holier than thou.
A golden idol of Donald Trump, and prayed to it. Like,
right.
I don't know how much further that's not an exaggeration. They built an actual golden statue of Donald Trump, put him in with the CCP or whatever, and then they what is the RCP or their little right-wing Nazi convention they have once a year?
Oh, a CPAC.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a cult. Like, again, I would not stand in the middle of a cornfield for 2 days straight and in an adult diaper so I could see, Kamala Harris speak on a stage. I like this. It's a cult, but I I think it's a race against the clock. I think that they know there's some bad stuff in there. They're trying to get such a stranglehold on democracy itself, that none of that stuff is going to matter. That there's a lot of other data points that concern me, honestly, about how they don't seem like they're worried about re-election or new any elections. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff where I'm like, they don't seem like they're running like they want to get reelected. Like they don't seem to care. That's the stuff that really scares me. Like they're just holding on, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, by the way, there's an insurrection act, not having midterms, and oh yeah, look, there's a picture of Donald Trump with 2 teenagers and they're naked. Oh well, too bad. Supreme Court said it's fine. You know what I mean? Like this is the stuff that worries me.
So I'd say, you said you have half an hour and we're at 35 minutes, but if I could just, are you doing anything on Saturday?
I am, actually. And then that's another. So I have 2 substacks coming out today. I have one for the Siren Network, which is thesirennetwork.com. That one is the actual network that is the first network truly created by creators. So that one is about the America First thing. And my Substack for Are You Effing Kidding Me, which is my personal Substack, is about not just No Kings on Saturday, but what it means to protest, how it's intrinsic to being an American, and about how they want us to be afraid to do it. They've labeled it Antifa and hate rallies, and they've also labeled Antifa domestic terrorist organization. All of that is by design. They want you to be afraid to go out there and use your voice. And there is nothing more American than doing that. Peaceful protest is it's the epitome of being an American. It's our origin story, right? And I was inspired before I get to the last thing about No Kings, I was inspired to write this essay in part because of what Portland is doing. And I was laughing my rear end off the other day because they had that naked, like,
Oh, yeah.
The bike parade. Yeah. It was like a march, but like a march and a die-in and all the things, but they were naked, right? Like, and
nobody could accuse them of carrying weapons.
Exactly. Like if you're creative enough to hide, a weapon in there, because then God bless you and keep you, or you might want to look into some kind of surgery, but or you're really well endowed. But that I was laughing at the imagery of these people just letting it all hang out, riding by snipers. like I got a scope on that guy's taint. Like if he does the wrong thing, I'm gonna blow his nuts off. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain hysterical irony, the collision in this moment of like, really? It's like South Park meets Handmaid's Tale. It's like, what? Sometimes I think the stupid will save us, but like that, this is what Portland is doing so effectively, is they're like having fun while pointing out the absurdity of it, but also there's a sobering message that this is still our right. We, the people, still are the ones in charge. This is still a democracy. That is still our right now. And they're like, you know what? We're gonna make it so ridiculous that you're standing up there with sniper rifles right now that we're gonna make you shoot for my areola. Okay, like that is hysterical. But so yeah, No Kings is this Saturday, and we need this thing to be the biggest protest ever. We need everybody. Bring your kids, bring your dogs, if your dogs are nice, bring your friends, bring your family. Like it has to be a jubilant affair, even through these dark moments, because we are celebrating that we still have a voice in this country and we still have a say, and we have to be too loud for them to ignore. And they don't like being mocked. That is also a spectacular weapon, which is why what you do is so funny and so successful. Because mockery is a very powerful weapon. It's why they want to silence comedians and why dictators always go for the comedians first. So I will be marching. I'm not gonna say where, just because safety issues. I'll just say that it's somewhere, not far. But I will be marching, and I'm still deciding on my sign. I marched in the Women's March, and I said, "We the people are stronger. The power of the people is stronger than the people in power." But I want to go funny this time, so I haven't decided yet what it's going to be. But I'm marching, and everybody should. And if you can't, then share videos of other people marching, and go outside and ring a cowbell, or whatever it is. Like, just make your voice heard. Like, I think that there's a lot of power.
just being there, and I think it's easy in these times to just feel despair
Yeah.
and to hide and be alone, and to want to give up.
Yeah.
But when it's not just about the marching, it's about the camaraderie, it's about the fellowship, it's about the community and feeling I'm not alone.
That's it. That's it.
It's empowering as well as loud. And that's why it scares them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
That's why they're having these press conferences where they're literally accusing us of being the terrorist wing of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So I've also been saying we need to be too big to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to have so many out there. They can't just jail us all.
No.
And one other thing is, if you don't if you don't have the strength, you don't, for some reason you can't vote or you can't show up. There was one person that said they had a broken leg. Fill your trunk with bottles of water and snacks and potato chips or whatever. You burn calories doing all that marching, and it's hot some places. Just pull your car over, pop the trunk, and just let people come and grab bottles of water out of it or snacks or whatever as they're marching by. There's ways you can help and support without being there.
Agreed.
Without being a part of the march.
Agreed. And before we end, to your point about people feeling alone versus people feeling seen, it's community, right? Like the antidote to everything that they are trying to do is community. It is the only way out is through, and the only way through is together. And part of the design of dividing and stoking that division and othering is to break those fundamental bonds, those threads that human beings have with one another that are irrespective of race and religion and gender. They're human. It's the human condition. They want to break that. It scares them because it represents a threat to everything that they're trying to do. And so when we come together, even if it's virtually, right? Like we're having an event on Thursday with a whole bunch of creators online to drum up, excitement for Saturday. Even if it's virtually, people, when they feel seen, they feel empowered, they feel less alone, they feel included, and they feel less gaslit, and then real change is possible. That's where you build movements, and that's exactly what we need to do right now. I mean, we've seen this happen across the world. Americans are also really stubborn, and I don't think that we're just gonna all bend over for that guy. But Saturday gives me hope, and any chance we have to see a silver lining or a glimmer of hope, we need to seize on it with both hands and not let go.
Amen. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. You're a star in my book, and I really appreciate having you on.
Thank you. You're doing a great job out there too.
I now I'm blushing. I really enjoy talking to you too. Fortunately, I got to put it on a podcast, but you're an enjoyable person. So anyway,
well, thank you.
Thanks again, and we're gonna end a little earlier than usual today because you have plans to and a life. But thanks for giving me your time.
Oh my gosh, thanks. Let's do it again sometime, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.